Hey, everybody, what's up? Welcome to the Most Excellent Entertainment Podcast. I am your host, Keith, and this week we have, to continue on in our celebration of April, the funniest month of the year, National Comedy Month, we have a comedian, a producer, an actor, a musician, a master of ceremonies, a multiple award winner. I'm sure that I'm missing some things here. We'll just talk about them. Pro wrestling celebrity correspondent for is BCW out in New York. We have Mr. Sherwin XL. Sherwin, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, brother. I got to give you my Sherwin XL welcome. So that's always, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and entertainment lovers of all ages. I am now and forever will be Glorious Son, the only one, the ordinary, extraordinary, and the greatest boom baby of them all, Sherwin XL. And I'm live here on Most Excellent Entertainment with the one and only Keith P. Miller. What's up, buddy?
Nice. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man.
That's the first time anybody's given me any kind of an introduction, so that's awesome. I appreciate it.
On your show, man. I gotta be grateful. You know what I mean?
Right on, man.
Shout out to Evan Ginsberg. Thank you, Evan, for the link.
Yeah. Evan's our only two-time guest. He's a great guy, man, and a lot of people kind of see Evan as a wrestling guy, but he came on here and we had a really good conversation about music and family and the book that he wrote. We barely touched on wrestling the second time. First time, it was pretty much all about wrestling. But when his book came out and I read it, it's got a lot of cool stories in it that have nothing to do with wrestling. And the guy is super knowledgeable about jazz and blues and even rock and roll and hip hop. Like he's just talking music with him was super cool, man. It was a side that I don't think a lot of fans get to see, so that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think anybody that's still around from anywhere between the 50s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. Yeah, for me, I'm a 70s kid. You know, I don't care about my age right now. I just became a grandfather, so I don't care. I can get grumpy when I wanna. But anyway, but I got to see all of the good stuff from yesteryear with the reruns, because my dad, he loves watching Columbo and all this other good stuff. Like he got me into sci-fi, like, you know, Star Wars and Star Trek, and and get my uncle Eric, he got me into watching wrestling. Like my first wrestling match, I remember that the main event was Andre the Giant versus Blackjack Mulligan in a steel cage match.
Nice.
That was my first wrestling match.
Yeah, the first wrestling show that I ever went to, the main event was it's funny, Junkyard Dog and Davey Boy Smith against Don Morocco and Bob Orton.
That was the Bulldog.
Yeah, that was the main event.
And you said Don Morocco?
Yep, Don Morocco and Bob Orton.
Beach bum.
Yeah, man.
I don't, it's so funny because I remember, because I remember that he was calling him Beach Bum. My small uncle was like, I love that Beach Bum.
Yeah, man, Morocco was so good, especially for a guy his size, flying around like he did, like top rope knees and,
the first Rock, the real first Rock.
Yeah. Yep, the first Rock. And I mean, honestly, The Rock is the third Rock because Ole Anderson called himself The Rock too. Yeah. So
you know what? Yeah, he did. Oh wow, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, Ole Anderson, towards the end of his career, started calling himself The Rock. I don't know why, but
not full-fledged, because I guess he's probably like I'm a pillar. I'm
I think that's what it was, man. He was like, I think it was
I'm the Gibraltar of wrestling.
yeah. I think it was more that than honestly, in his day, he was an enforcer. You know what I mean? He, for all the Arn Anderson being the enforcer, they were kind of, connected for a long time. But so I was looking over your bio, and there's a lot of things to hit on. But one thing that I wanted to talk to you about right away is performing at the Apollo, because Showtime at the Apollo was an institution in my house. Like we just had Dobie Maxwell on last week. Mm-hmm. I was talking to him about the comedy that I came up on. I was born in 1974. So in the 80s, like there was a big stand-up explosion, and I used to stay up late because I didn't have a lot of supervision, and I would watch Showtime at the Apollo and Evening at the Improv every night, man. And I got to see so much cool comedy. But Uh, you know,
Did you ever get to see Rowan and Martin's laughing?
oh yeah, sure. On reruns though.
Monty
Yeah, yeah.
Python's Flying Circus and stuff.
Oh, I loved Monty Python's Flying
That
Circus.
was my dad. That was my dad's thing.
Yeah,
He loved Monty Python.
yeah,
That was like one of the first I know shows that he loved. Aside from watching the Mystery Theater on Channel 13 out here in New York,
sure.
he loved a lot of stuff. Barney Miller and all that good stuff, man. He used to
Yeah,
watch
yeah. Hey, my mom was big Barney Miller and Rockford
Mash.
Files. What's
Mash.
that? Oh yeah, MASH was dude, we could not watch MASH. Like
Klinger.
MASH was yeah.
Always remember Klinger trying to be crazy to get out of the
Yeah, dressing like a woman so we could get out of
crazy.
the
Let
water.
me out of here. I'm
Yeah, it's
crazy.
like, come on, I'm
No, you're not
nuts.
crazy. You're not
Yeah,
crazy.
like no, Klinger, you're not crazy. People don't know they're crazy. Yeah, that was
The,
awesome.
the first RuPaul on television.
Right, right, right. You think about it now, because obviously that show started in the '70s and went into the early '80s.
Yeah.
You probably couldn't have a character dressing up like a woman to show that he was crazy. Now people would get so mad.
Oh,
But
and everybody's. I
uh,
think it's ridiculous. You know what? You know what? To me, on a
yeah,
personal note, I think
yeah,
that whole thing started. I don't know who did it, but whoever started this thing about no more cat calling at women, whoever did that was the one that started this whole cancel culture crap. Because when
makes
that
sense.
happened, that guys can't say, "Hey, lady," "Hey, baby," like there were some guys
Yeah,
that were disrespectful. Then there were guys who were
right.
respectful, but even the guys who were respectful wound up paying for everything. And
Yeah,
now lesbians are catcalling and it's okay. Ooh,
yeah.
ooh.
I think it was Gloria Steinem, right? Wasn't she the one who started the whole thing?
That
Maybe.
was one thing. I'm talking about somebody did a video.
Oh, okay.
Some female did a video about stop catcalling us women, and
I
then
got you.
that just steamrolled.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
forgot who it was, but I just know it steamrolled, and then all of a sudden, guys don't want to talk to the ladies anymore because they're afraid.
yeah. I'll tell you what, man. When I was like 21, 22,
Uh-huh.
I was working at a grocery store, and I used to go over to a bar after work
Mhm.
sometimes and have a few drinks. And I rode a bicycle, so I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'll ride my bike home.
Mhm.
And I was riding, and these girls, truck full of girls, drove by me, and they yelled, "Nice ass, buddy!" And I felt so good. They were pretty. I got so distracted that I ran into a mailbox and have a scar on my arm.
Oh, that's the age old.
I felt so
That's a
stupid.
vaudeville scene. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
oh, for sure, 100%, dude. It was comedy.
Or the
Um,
guy looking at the girl and he's like, "Hi,"
yeah,
and he hits a pole or hits a tree. I'm like, "Oh my gosh."
yeah, yeah, man. But
See, in a perfect world, they
I
would have
felt
came
good
over
about
and
it,
loved
you know.
you. They would have came. He's like, "Is that booty okay?"
Yeah, 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 for sure, man.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
but yeah, it's a different time now, man. I guess, but
Some ladies, I don't know. It's it's a gamble because there's some ladies out here who are very, I have a a comedy sister. Her name's Kimmy.
okay,
And she was like Kim Fowler is her name, and I
okay.
had told her like in my lifetime I've been proposed to by five times by other women, and she's like, "What are you doing to them?" So I was just like, being nice, being
Right,
nice,
right.
not just sexual. It's like aside from getting sexual or whatever, but it's like
Yeah, yeah,
I'm being respectful and nice, and she's like, yeah, whatever. So I was like, but it's like the ladies, some of these ladies are bold these days, and then there are some of
yeah.
them are very overly touchy, and then there are those that are very quiet and shy. So
Right,
these, I'd rather quiet and shy or a little slightly bold,
yeah,
not any young lady that has a good sense of humor and loving and fun. And has some type of a spiritual belief because I know some people don't believe, some people believe, but I like to
right,
be able to sit down and either meditate, pray with my lady, and when I
right
get
on.
in another relationship because I've been dating, but I haven't found that one yet. It was kind of crazy. I just went just to share something with you. And this is the first
Yeah,
time I'm talking about this. I went on a date with a young lady. It was a great date. And after we're done, I was getting ready to go to Penn Station. She's driving, and I'm like, she gets a call from some guy, and she's like, "Hey, just to let you know, I'm on a date." And I was like, "Okay." Tells her something about him trying to sing Michael Jackson's "They Don't Really Care About Us," and the neighbors told him to shut up because they wanted to hear Michael sing. And then he's talking to her, and I'm like, "Haha, that's funny, dude." And then she's like, "Okay," and then they hung up. And
Yeah.
for some reason, she decided to be honest with me. I say, "What's going on?" He's like, "She says, is that your boyfriend or something?" He's like, "No, he's not my boyfriend." I said, "But he does pay for my hair, my mani, and my pedi." And I was like, "Young
Oh,
man,
man.
your hair." I was like, "What does he do?" He's like, "Well, he jerks off to my toes." And I'm just like, "He beats his meat to your feet." He's like, "Yeah, you can say that." And I'm like, "You're a
Man. All
naughty girl.
right.
You're a naughty girl."
Man, hey, make that money, man. But
So I was just like, okay. So I was like, is this like this is what's I was like, this is very strange for a date.
yeah,
But
yeah, first date, you're hearing some
but,
things.
I had a really great date with her. But I was just like, I don't want to go forward. But she's awesome. I'm just like, maybe I could get rid of the beat the meat guy.
Yeah,
Whatever.
yeah,
Beat the
maybe
meat.
we can hang out.
He has to
Man.
go, man.
Yeah,
I'll do your stylist. I'll do your nails and feet for you.
there you
That's
go.
true.
When I was younger, man, I was really attracted to aggressive girls.
Mm.
Like, I
Oh my
don't,
God. I was just talking about that.
yeah, I don't know what it was, man. I mean, honestly, I haven't dated in a while, so I may still be attracted to aggressive girls for all I know. But I mean, girls who
Mm.
were sweet or whatever, I'd be like, oh, they're so nice, maybe like they're pretty, but nothing romantic would ever happen between us. But man, you get a girl
You
who's
know what
like
it is?
a little
I
pit
think it's like
bull,
I
I'd be
think you
like,
like it because there's fire there. That's what it
yeah,
is.
yeah, it's just weird, man. Like girls who make a lot of physical contact and like
Mm.
have strong opinions. Like I'm just like, man, I think I'm in love. Like,
You're physical and smart and sexy. Come here, ravage me.
oh yeah, yeah. It was,
Look, let me ask you something. Are you a guy who you try to tell women to stay away from bad boys though?
um, man, not really. I let people
But you
do
know
what
what?
they.
You're better than me because I realized the other day I was a freaking hypocrite because I was always because just like you I like aggressive girls and I was just like
Yeah,
they call them baddies now so I was just
right.
like yeah I'm addicted to baddies and I'm like oh my gosh I'm a hypocrite because I'm always telling these girls stay away from these hot boys bad boys pretty boys and thugs they're not good for you and I'm over here
Right.
I love baddies. So,
That's
I was just
funny.
like oh my gosh I was like I'm a hypocrite.
Yeah.
And I said,
I mean, I feel like I'm a pretty good judge of character. And I think
yeah,
there's a difference between someone who is a strong person and someone who, so I don't know if you noticed, but I said ass earlier. We can curse on this podcast. Like it's not a big
okay,
deal. So
yeah,
yeah, I think there's a big difference between someone who's aggressive and someone who's an asshole, you
yeah,
know?
true, true.
So I
Yeah,
feel like
there's a big fine line between being fun and teasing and being
yeah,
just nasty and disrespectful. You're right.
yeah, yeah. So if I come across, if I have a friend, who's
Mhm.
dating someone and I don't feel right about it, I'll let them know, But for the most part, man, I don't judge people. Like people like who they like, they love who they love. Let them do it, unless like I said, unless I get a weird
Like
vibe.
some
Yeah,
weird vibe. And like, oh, you're just here because he's buying you drinks, or
right.
you're looking for a walking, talking ATM. That's what you're looking for. You know, that's
Yeah.
what some of them do, man. It's like
Oh,
dating. Like I think I talked about this before on another show, but because I was on Plenty of Fish, and
okay.
one time this beautiful girl hits me up. She's like, because so because most of the time, if it was a girl coming at you, she's like, "Hey, Vanilla Daddy," or for me, she's like saying, "Hey, Chocolate." So of course I'm like, "Oh, hello, how you doing, beautiful?" And she's like, and she all of a sudden she goes, "You got $45?" And I'm like. I was like, yo, I was like, miss, you don't even know my name yet, my real name yet. She's like, never
Yeah.
mind that. My screen's cracked and I need it fixed. Do you have $45? And I said, well, I have this nice, long, fat, black block button.
Nice. Oh man,
So
dude, I
it's
don't
my
do
real
well.
girl. Because some of these girls, all they want, they either want money.
Yeah.
Sadly, the ones that are disrespectful, they either want money from you or they want a free meal. And I
Yep.
was just like, go to a family barbecue for the free meal, man. The hell.
Yeah. Brother, I'm gonna be honest. In my younger days, like I'm an old
Mm,
dude now, and I'm bigger and whatever. Things happen, you get old. But in
mm.
my younger days, I was a pretty good looking dude. And I used to do.
Don't forget, these ladies like this. They love the salt and pepper thing these days.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But but I used to date women who I wasn't necessarily into because I knew they were
Mhm.
going to beat me or, take me somewhere cool. Like, I can't say I never did it. You know what I mean? So again, like, man, do what you got to do, I guess. Um, I,
Man, it's like
I just
it's
like
like
to drink a lot. So I'm sober now, actually, be 9 years in a couple.
cool. Congrats, man. Because
Thanks, man.
there's some people that can't shake it. Then
Oh,
you're one of
bro,
the special ones to get away from it, man.
thank you, man. But
Stay,
yeah, I used to date
stay
women
good,
who
man. Stay
would buy
good.
me alcohol. There was a girl at a gas station who, if I came in, she'd give me a little discount or take me out drinking afterwards. And,
Mhm.
I used to hang out with that chick just for like hamburgers and beer, man. So it's like, I can't say in my 20s I wasn't wilding out too. So
He's like, yeah, buy me some burgers and buns, and I'll take care of your buns later, babe.
pretty much, dude. Yeah. Yeah. My
So,
friends screwed that up for me, man. Like I used to hang out with these girls. Um,
uh,
they used to just come over and we would hang out. Like, this is a little group of girls. My friends would come over, we'd all just hang out. And one night they took my phone and they called her and they were like, "You need to stop calling Keith because he does not like you." And I was like, "Guys, what are you doing? None of y'all are giving me
haters,
anything. Look,
haters
we're just hanging.
are
Why?"
dirty.
They were like, "Keith, you're devaluing yourself." And I was like,
I guarantee you, they probably wanted to get at her. That's why they did that. I
man.
guarantee you. I
Well, no,
guarantee you. They,
it was it
bro,
was
you know,
my
you know
friend.
how it is when you have somebody that you think is a friend,
Yeah,
and they see you like, why does he get to have her? I'd be better. She'd be better with me. They
yeah.
some that. Are you wait? Let me ask you this question. Are you still friends with those guys?
Well, it was actually it was my friends who were girls who did it.
Did
Yeah,
oh, even worse.
I feel like they were trying to protect me because I wasn't treating
But let me
myself
ask. Okay,
like they
here's
would with
another
a,
question.
you know what I mean? They did it like they would with one of their girlfriends. Like they were
Okay,
like,
here's the thing. Here's a follow up question to that question.
yeah, yeah,
Uh, the girl that did it or the girls that did it, did you
yeah.
ever deal with any of them after that?
Oh yeah, we still kept hanging out. Yeah.
No, no. I mean, did you get in a relationship or mess around with any of
No,
them?
not at all. Like one of them was one of my best friend's little
Oh,
sister.
okay.
And the other one, she always had different boyfriends. Like we just hung out. Like they
They
literally,
probably they just didn't want her around anymore. They didn't like her, and then that's what because they were probably asking you. They wanted something on her to get her away from you because they didn't like her around you.
yeah,
Period. Or they didn't like her around them, and much
right.
more less you. So that's why they did that.
Yeah, it was weird, man. It
Man, that's
was,
messed up, man.
yeah, I
Because
was
like, 'cause
unhappy. I
usually
was
you would think there's an
like,
ulterior motive, like, oh, okay, well, Brenda likes Keith, so let's get rid of her so we can try to hook him up. But
dude,
that wasn't even. You didn't even
across
give him. You didn't even give him some surrogate cookies. Oh, come on, man.
I was like, look, man, this brandy that we're drinking tonight? Cammy bought this. So enjoy your last bottle of brandy for a while. You know what I mean? It's just like,
Oh, damn. And you said they did it over the phone. They did it.
called, they called her up. I think she called me and then they grabbed the phone and they were like, look, Keith doesn't like you. And I was just like, oh, yo, dang, man. Yeah, it was messed up.
Well, you should have just told her, like, yo, they're lying, or
Yeah, yeah, I tried. Like we were all drunk and they were just being stupid. And she was just like, well, no, they hurt my feelings and I can't, just like, all right, whatever. You know, I didn't fight too hard because I really didn't like her. I mean, she was all right to hang out with, but I really,
what was it? What was it about her you didn't like? Like
uh,
she had a bad attitude.
I just wasn't attracted to her. Like she was okay as a person. I was just never ever gonna like be her boyfriend. Like,
Oh.
yeah, that was never gonna
Well,
happen.
well, then maybe they did you a favor because maybe you would
Yeah,
have told her one day and she probably would have stabbed you or something. You
yeah, who
know,
knows? Yeah,
some of
yeah,
these
yeah.
girls are like, what do you mean you don't like me? I love you. I want you.
Yeah,
Give you a
yeah,
Miss Piggy top, classic Miss.
yeah. I mean, it's not like they were lying to her. You know what I mean? But
Damn.
it's just the way that they went about it.
Well, in a messed up yet good way, I guess they did you a favor. I guess.
Yeah, I guess. I guess.
You didn't want it because you didn't want to do it because you were enjoying the beer and burger
Right,
and
you man.
and some nookie on the side. So
I mean, whatever, dude. But yeah, they ended that. but,
okay,
but anyway, brother. Back to the Apollo because that was where we
yeah,
started.
yeah,
So the Apollo is infamous for being a hostile crowd.
yeah.
Um.
And
So what?
I know
Like,
why too. I know exactly why.
yeah. And what is it? Is it like a little egg or something that you rub before you go out on stage?
It's the tree of hope. Like you rub the stump, and that's for
Yeah,
luck. You go out,
yeah,
and
yeah.
everybody, black, white, like anybody that's come on that stage, Asian,
That man,
everybody's
yeah.
been on that stage. It was an honor to be on that stage. My experience was that some young people were yelling at me, but the crowd was yelling at them to shut up. I'd never experienced anything like that. I've never seen that on TV before. Or my experience was the girl that came before me was singing about Jesus, and I was like, "What?" It's like I came out like I was talking about God, and then I was talking about being a father. I was like, "What can I do? Then how can I beat that?" She's talking about Jesus. Well, I said, "Thank God I'm here," and I and I went on, and I was doing
Yeah.
a good thing. And then what the thing is, the reason why they're hostile, if you're not good enough, if you happen to be not what they want, they'll start yelling at you, and then Sandman comes out. I didn't get that, thank God. Uh, but even if I
Is
did,
it-
I think it wouldn't have phased me because when they were messing with me, I said, "I'm not afraid of you guys. Do you think I'm up here? I'm bulletproof." That's what I said to them, and I think that's when the crowd was like, "Yeah, shut up, let him talk, whatever." So,
Nice.
the situation is sometimes is that even if you're good, let's just say you have 50 people there and somebody has a busload of people, they're gonna boo you anyway because they want their person to win.
Yeah,
That's
it's too much
sometimes
time.
that's what happens sometimes. If
Yeah.
you are talented and you come there with a minimum, even if you let's just say if you have 100, somebody else comes there with like 500 people, you're screwed.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
screwed. Unless
Yeah.
unless you really win them over, unless you really win them over, and you're just like, you know what? Like I heard, like the Van Gross, I think he failed five, 6 times before he got on, or even
Yeah.
seven, something like that. And it's because they once you make it past the first day, they take you in an area and they tell you, listen, if you don't win or you get booed off the stage, don't stop. Don't let that. At least they give you a coaching, at least, because some people, it's very because like me, if somebody would have said, hey, you're gonna like the list of my credentials. Sometimes I look at it and like, oh my god, this my stuff? So I'm just like,
Yeah.
I'm very honored and just appreciative and with an abundance of the things that I've done. But I used to be nuclear holocaust and intergalactically shy. A
Yeah.
lot of people don't believe me, but I would like if like some people say if you could do a time machine and tell your younger self, what would you say? I was like, you're gonna do some incredible things and believe it. And then because back then, if I would have said something to my younger self, I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm gonna be in my room reading a book and playing video games. Like, no,
Right.
I'm not. I'm gonna be listening to music. No, I'm not. Because I was fine around my family, but when it came to people outside, nah, no, not at
Yeah.
all.
That.
Because I used to see how kids used to make. Because like I was chubby,
Yeah.
and me being a a brother of color,
Yeah.
I don't have the regular the basically I'm nose straight. So and I have the
Yeah.
big ears. I was chubby, so they would always
Yeah.
mess with me. So in high school, I used to see how they used to rag on somebody. And it's like I went to school here in New York, and then also my mother, she had moved. I went to school in Trinidad and Tobago, then I also went to school in Springfield, Massachusetts, and everywhere, always picking on you. So after a while, I got that Popeye the Sailor Man. So like it stands and it can't stands no more, and I started talking back. And then eventually, when I started going out to clubs and dancing, I'd be in the corner and watching all the other guys and the girls, dance their
Mm.
butts off, and I'd be like, dang, I wish I could, be, brave enough like that just to go and have a good time. But after a
Right.
while, I said, okay, I started practicing. As you know, I was kind of, it started doing like a Shaolin monk or like going and practicing and like, ha, 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 I'm going to do this. And
Awesome.
yeah,
That's
so all that stuff that culminated like to go to the Apollo,
yeah.
because actually, just to tell you the reason why I went to the Apollo was because of some more the comedian. I
Okay.
had asked her when Caroline's on Broadway was still open because that was the first place that I did stand up comedy. That was my birthplace. It's gone now, uh, but I asked her. I said, some more. What do I what do you think I should do from here? Since I just did Caroline's on Broadway like twice, and yeah, can you give me some pointers? She said, well, go see this guy named Angelo Ellerby. He's working with DMX right now, the rapper with
Yeah.
Bloodline Records. Went to go see him, showed him my audition tape. He said, okay, you have great personality. You're funny. He said, you actually dressed well. Okay. Go to this school. Go to Weiss Barron School of Acting. So I go there. And then after that, I got a little bored and I said, wow, man, what am I going to do? I was like, I'm going to do the one thing most people are either excited to do or scared to death to do, and that's the Apollo Theater. So I went, auditioned, got it, did what I had to do. And the host that day was Will Sylvance, Haitian
Okay.
comedian, and got through it. Didn't win, but I got through it, and I felt good. And it's like that stage alone, kind of like it gets you like hip hop got me brave.
Mhm.
Actually, after finishing the Apollo, got me even a little braver, but I still had a little bit of shyness in me because I met this lady by the name of Shalene Thomas, and I did her. She's the lady that's on the song with Nas, Oochie Wally Wally, Oochie Bang Bang.
Okay. Yeah.
So, yeah, I did. She's worked with DMX, Little Kim, and like she's on Nas's song, and she worked with Celine Dion and Whitney Houston
Okay.
and Santana. So I did some singing classes with her. So that little bit I had left, I got rid of it because I used to be in a singing group, but I was in the background and I would never step forward to try and sing something because I always wanted to do in a comedy set my favorite commercial from McDonald's, which is that McMoon.
Okay.
Like
Back-
when the clock strikes
Yeah.
6:30, babe. Which is from Mac the Knife.
Right. Right. Back to knife. Yeah.
They did a parody of it.
Right.
So I always wanted to do that, and I wound up doing it at the Copacabana because I took those classes with her. So that little 5% of shyness that I had in me because of her, I got rid of it. I'm so glad I took her music lab class. So shout out to her, man. I'm glad because shyness, man. Because I think most of the like Mike Irwin was one of my comedian Mike Irwin. He was one of my teachers in this when I was taking stand up comedy and improv and stuff. And he told me, he said, "Who's your favorite comedian? Who's the one that made you want to do this?" I was like, "Well, there's Murphy. It's like and other couple of people, but the one that really made me want to do it was Sam Kinison." And I was like, "Well," he said, "Release your inner Kinison, man." Oh, 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 okay. So, I went and did it, and I started studying and watching everybody. And because and a little bit after the Apollo, I got to meet somebody who's a legend in this game, from television and vaudeville, Al Grandpa Lewis, that
Okay.
played Grandpa from the Munsters. I
Yeah.
got to meet him at Roosevelt Island at a restaurant called Trellis. And around the time, my mother's from Trinidad and Tobago, so I'm first generation born. So I never really knew what vaudeville was right before I started messing around with comedy, right before I started studying. But because of Al Grandpa Lewis, I started studying because I asked him, I said, Grandpa, I got to do this impersonation of him because he was so cool. I said, Grandpa, do you know? Because Sam Kinison had a set where he goes, it was about getting married, and it
Yeah.
was on his set. He was in his stand-up routine called "Breaking the Rules," and
Okay.
he's like, "Do you promise to love, honor, and obey?" He's like, "I sure do." He's like, "Hey, who's doing that? This is a wedding, not a vaudeville act." So I was like, "What's vaudeville?" And I had just asked Grandpa, and this is before the big thing with Google and everything. You can go online. I said, "Hey, Grandpa, do you know what vaudeville is?" And I told him what I just said with the Sam Kinison thing. He goes like with his cigar. He goes like this. He goes, "What? You trying to be a comedian? You don't know what vaudeville is?" He's like, "Sit down, kid. You're in bad shape."
Awesome. That's awesome. It's funny. You mentioned Eddie Murphy and Sam Kinison. Um,
Uh,
one of the things that, like, I remember jokes from Raw and from Delirious. Um,
yeah.
I remember the Sam Kinison the desert joke
Oh,
About
he's like, you know what this is? It's sand. It's crunchy. It's sand. Like, why don't you move where the food is?
yeah, move where the phone is. Yeah, it's so good, man. Um,
I know these guys, they could give this kid a sandwich. He's like, no, we want to get the pain, the trauma.
people,
Shut up, Umbaku. I'm like, you know what? I was like, Sam,
I mean, you
him
say
and
that all the time.
him and Bill Hicks. I love
Yeah.
the both of them. Like, I found out about the both of them at the same time.
Mhm.
And I love the two of them. And then also, like, I love those two on the same level. Like, I love Bernie Mac and Robin Harris,
Oh, sure.
and of
Yeah.
course Robin Williams, because I love Robin Williams for a
Yeah.
long time because I saw him on Happy Days.
Yeah.
And he was
Happy Days. Happy Days is my favorite TV show of all time. I don't think
like,
there's ever been a better show than Happy Days. Like, you know, yeah. And
Tony, I found my thrills
Blueberry. Yes, sir.
on Blueberry Hill. Yeah, man. That good stuff you don't forget. You don't forget
Yeah.
that good stuff.
Yeah. I just think it's funny how like I remember Mitch Hedberg, the
I met
refried
him.
beans.
No, I told him he looked like Kurt Cobain, and he started laughing.
Nice, nice. I used to get Kurt Cobain when I was a kid all the time. When I was younger,
Um,
uh, I was at a party one time, and this girl came up to me, and I was actually at a club, and this girl came up to me and she said, "You look just like Kurt Cobain," and I said, "Thanks." And she goes, "No, it's a compliment. He was a very handsome man," and I was like, "Thanks." Like, I don't know what to say to that, but yeah, but
well,
but
if
yeah,
you didn't
dude,
know his songs at the time, I would have been like, well, hello, hello, hello.
that's what I was gonna say. Like, I'm really good at public speaking and performing. I've been, involved in pro wrestling, and obviously I do this. I've hosted TV shows. I've been a singer, frontman in a band, like for years. But I am in social situations so
Right.
awkward. Like I can have one-on-one conversations, but like,
Get rid of that, bro. Get rid of
yeah,
that.
I've always been like that. Like it's really weird. I don't know what it is. Like people see me and they think I'm super outgoing and like I feel like anytime I'm performing, like no matter what it is, like even at jobs, like I've worked in restaurants before and stuff, and it's like I'm performing there, I'm somebody else. But yeah, I've had girls meet me at my job and then want to go on a date with me, and then they're just like, "Man, you are the most boring human I've ever met. Like I did not know this was what you were like." And I was like, "Yeah, man, because I was at work.
You know what
Like
it is?
work is
They see the
different than
beard. They see the beard and they think you're wild like ZZ Top.
yeah, man. I'm just like, work me is way different than sitting at
You're
home.
laid back. You're laid back and quiet. But you know what it is? I think sometimes I think there's some people who, like, I'm very quiet. I've always been very quiet, but I know how to go from quiet to riot. And some
Right.
people go from riot to quiet. Or some
Yeah.
people are just like, I'm quiet unless I have to be a riot and it's forced out, you
Right.
know? And
Right.
so it's like there's some folks, well, you gotta find, you gotta be around a lady who's, your speed, man. Because
Yeah.
if you're a bicycle, moped, or Harley Davidson, you got to find which one you fit with. Because if you got a
Yeah.
chick who's on who wants some road hog, dude, and you're just like ching ching, he's like that's not gonna mix. You know,
Yeah.
it'll be the ride will be fun for a while, but I'm just like after a while, you're like okay, thanks, bye. You know,
Yeah.
you
That's
know.
how it opens up, man. But what was I gonna say? I lost my thought. Oh well, we can move on because I can't remember what I was gonna say. It was I'm sure it
Well,
was
about more dating and stuff.
yeah, I'm sure it was profound, but
Yeah.
lost it.
And then to springboard off the Apollo,
Yeah.
because of me not, because of me not being shy and going forward with that, things fell into place for me where I listened to some more. I listened to Mr. Ellerby. I
Yeah.
went, did the Apollo, and when I was done, while I'm waiting for my friends at the front door, a gentleman came to me, gave me a card. He was a talent scout. He said, "Hey, give me a call. I have something that I think would be great for you." And I'm like, "Okay." So I call him, and he gives me this young lady's number. Her name is Patricia Brown. And she lives out in Reno, Nevada. And I'm talking to her, and he said, "Yeah, we have a hip hop boot camp that we want to do, and we're looking for somebody who has strong personality and can do the things that we can do." And I was like, "Okay, whatever." So I'm talking to the young lady at the time, and Patricia, if you're watching this, forgive me, but she was telling me who was going to be involved. Right, so she said it
Yeah.
was going to be Africa Bambaataa, Curtis Blow, Melly Mel, and Wanda D, who is the very first lady DJ in history. So I'm listening to this, and then I'm like, in my head, I'm like, this lady's lying. So I'm like, okay, but this I said she was lying not because of those hip hop guys, it's because she told me whose hip hop boot camp it was, and it was Michael Jackson's father, Joe Jackson.
Right.
I was like, Joe Jackson's doing hip hop.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
You
yeah.
know,
That does seem right.
you know, lady. I'm like, whatever. Like, yeah, okay, I'll be there. Yeah,
Yeah.
lady. So at first I didn't believe, and then like when she started showing me stuff, I was like, oh wow. I went there and he was actually there,
Yeah.
and funny guy, uh,
Okay.
gangster vibe because he had a gun in his pants. But he was cool.
I don't know if you
He
know
was
anything about
cool.
Gary Montana, but
Yeah, he was cool, little gangster. But and we did the show. I was a pre-show host and the announcer, and there were some folks that came that wanted to perform, but they had already picked their people. So I went to him. Everybody calls him Papa Joe. Say, hey, Papa Joe, listen, there's a bunch of people that are here now. We have an hour to kill, so I'd like to do a last minute, open mic, so these guys can audition for you. He's like, ah, okay, that's a good idea, boy. Go ahead. Yeah, that's a good idea. Good. So did it, and I got to give some of these young men and some of these young ladies that had pound puppy eyes, like, oh man, I'm not going to be able to do nothing. So I said, everybody come up, give me your name, the song you're doing. You do one song, and then you go up there, give it to the DJ. And some of them brought there's at the time it was like CDs mostly, and that little hard drive, whatever. So they
right.
brought it. Everybody did what they had to do, and they left happy, and I was happy to do it. And I even had a gentleman there who I did my first movie with, named Kenya Cagle, which a movie that I did. It was called The Undercover Man, and he was there, and they said, "Hey, he's here. Talk to that gentleman." So it was real cool. And then when it was all over, said and done, this is where things started getting really good for me because a gentleman came to me and said, "What you did for those guys was really nice, and very rare you see somebody selfless in this industry." And he gave me his card, and then he gave me another card. He said, "Call me, but then after you call me, call this guy." And that guy turned out to be my mentor for 12, 13 years. His name was Harris Haith, the author of the book Growing Up Laughing with Eddie Murphy. He was cousin to Eddie and Charlie Murphy. And I learned a lot of good business from him. I already had my vision, but I got to learn from him and his mentor. Which became a little bit of my mentor for the time he was here, Mr. Bill McCrary. He's a two-time Emmy Award-winning anchorman and news media legend. And I got
Yeah.
to work with both of them. Got to be in a movie with the both of them, and it was really incredible. Got to see Bill McCrary do his new McCrary report, and got to see Harris produce the show, and it was just a really wonderful situation to see. And it was just off of me being bold enough. If I didn't take that shyness and like go to the Apollo, possibly wouldn't be talking to you. I wouldn't have probably met, because the things that I did, I wouldn't have met Evan. I'd probably be watching your show and seeing other people on there, but not being on your show. You say that's a
Yeah.
great show, man. I wonder if I would have won the Apollo if I wouldn't have got on there. you know. And
Yeah.
it's really fun to see the walk, and then meeting people like um, people who gave me advice, and I always talk about them. DJ Wiz of Kid and Play, DJ Evil D of Black Moon, then my mentor, and then my mentor's mentor, who was also a mentor to me. And just to give this out, I'd like to share this to your audience and anybody that wants to be in this industry as an entertainer. DJ Wiz from Kid and Play said to me, "Don't worry about these fakes and frauds that you meet in life, whether it's personal or business. Just make sure that you keep moving forward. All these fakes and frauds will fall off of you." And then DJ Evil D, he if he sees this, he probably get mad, but I like doing his voice. He told me, he said, "Sure, stay real and you'll be okay. Because in this industry, there's a couple of people. It's like the people like you and me who are real, and then ones who are standing behind us. And those are people who are scheming. And the people who are behind them who are thinking of scheming. And the people behind them who are dreaming of scheming. But stay real and you'll be all right. So I never forgot that. And then
That's
Harris, my mentor, he said to me, he said, if you ever feel like giving up, if you ever feel down, you feel yourself getting depressed, be still and think about the whole reason why you started in the first place. Think back to the first day you decided to do whatever it is, how you started, which was for me was music. I was rapping, and I wound up getting into an R&B group, the R&B group with one of Wyclif's cousins. And I was the rap element, doing background singing, helping with the percussion, helping with choreography and songwriting. And so, with that being said, I remembered everything, and you said, look at everything you did from your first step from day one into the now, and I should recharge you and help you to keep going. I never forgot. And then his mentor said, I'm here to help. And then his moniker was always, if you don't know, learn. Once you learn, teach. Each one, reach one, teach one. That was from Bill McCleary.
nice.
And then for me, my moniker after listening to those guys, mine's is I have two of them. It's I'm here to be helpful, respectful, professional, so that we all can be successful once we work with each other. And then the last thing is in your personal and professional life, um, come together in peace and either keep the peace or increase the peace. But if anybody tries to dare decrease the peace, you have to say peace, and that's it. Yeah, oh yeah, and Evan Ginsberg,
Yeah.
he made me laugh because when I first met him, when I did his show on Legends TV, he said after we were done, he's like, Sherwin, you know how I stay happy in this industry? I said, how, Evan? He goes, I stay away from a-holes.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense to
Like,
me.
oh, I said, why? Because their attitudes are crappy? He's like, you got it.
Yep. There you go.
So that's another reason why I like him, man. It's like, meeting great people and just you getting a culmination of great knowledge, just like you either get it from your family, your friends, co-workers, neighbors, strangers at times. And it's like, I just try to keep all that because I always wanted to have a good moniker like those guys were giving me. And I give it to some young folks these days.
Yeah, for sure, man. Um, yeah, having how in everybody who comes on here in some way or another talks about either being a mentor or having mentors, and I think that a lot of people don't understand how important that is, no matter what aspect of entertainment you're getting into. Having someone for a long time, I tried doing all of this stuff myself, and then when I got into pro wrestling, Don Adams, who has passed away now, uh, he was the guy who,
All right.
yeah, yeah, he was the guy for Penn York Wrestling who brought me in and
Mm-hmm.
made me feel welcome and taught me like etiquette and things that you really needed to know to survive in the wrestling business, to not come off looking like somebody who didn't belong, because in wrestling that is so important. And I never had a mentor like that. So it's really cool that not only you seem like you've had some good mentors, but that you're also mentoring others. That's so important. And now I mentor people as much as I can, because I feel like going into things blind,
It's
it's
not
not
helpful.
fun.
It's
Yeah,
not
it's not good.
helpful at all. I mean, some of these people have terrible managers and agents. I forgot I forgot the girl's name. I think it was Kanatsu.
Okay.
I think that was her name. I think her name was Kanatsu. And the young lady, she's an Asian young lady, and she said to me, she said, "What are you, Angel?" I was like, "Why you say that?" He's like, "You give me information, and most of the time, every time man try to give me information, they try to fuck with me." And I was like, "Oh damn." I said, "Well, I can
Yeah.
understand you're beautiful, but other than that, I get it." But and it was kind of crazy, and I was just like, "Damn." There's a lot of people who've told me, "You've given me more information in an hour than I've gotten from my agent, manager within the 2 or 3 years I've been with them." And I said, "What?" I was like, "That
Yeah.
was crazy to me." I said, "That's
Yeah.
crazy."
I mean, I've got yeah, Rob Kincaid, who's also passed away, helped me out a lot in wrestling.
Respects.
Yeah, JT Branham, who's also passed away. That's crazy, man. Um, those guys all gave me, and then I had friends who were already in the business who me and my friends kind of have interesting relationships. Like we all love each
Mhm.
other so much, but we also kind of mess with each other a lot. You know what I mean? So they're brutally honest, like to the point where sometimes they don't need to be that honest. You know? Um,
Sometimes, you know what? Sometimes you need that
yeah.
because that happened to me where I had a friend who's the part owner of comedy in Harlem. Her name is Nikki Sunshine, and there was one time a female comedian made me feel bad about warming up the crowd for her because she was doing a special. She was doing her show, and I warmed up the crowd as best as I could for her. And after the show was done, she was mad because she said, "Oh, everybody's talking about you, not me. This is my show. You turned it into the Sherwin show." And I was like, "Whoa!" So then I felt like, "Damn, well, maybe I need to
Tone it down. Yeah.
tone it down." So I don't want to make it. I don't want to make anybody feel bad. So and then I was in, and around that time, in between, I had just lost my daughter's mom. To a car accident. She was like like she was in a coma for a while, and she just recently because she was like straight up paraplegic, couldn't do nothing, and couldn't talk. She could just blink her eyes. That was it. So around that time, I'm like feeling messed up. So that kind of like messed with me. And Nikki, when I used to go dancing, I'm a big, big dancer. I love music. Used to go to this club called Bentley's, then Demararas, and then the Shadow nightclub. And Nikki used to come hang out with me, the Shadow. And she's like, Sherwin, why are you holding back all this freaking energy I see you have here in the club? So you're picking up these big pachyderm chicks, and you're having so much fun, and you're on stage. You're just like, she's like, cut it out. Come on,
Right.
what's up? And because of her telling me that, I stopped and I didn't let anybody else because sometimes what it is with me. I think what it was with me was that just lost my daughter's mom with that situation, and then from there, because we had broke up, we were married for 2 years, and she wanted to come back, and then that happened.
Okay.
And then it was just like I was just like, and then hearing this woman complain to me, I just kind of like, okay, I'll tone it down. And it wasn't like I had any fire in me because I was just, I got something knocked the wind out of me. So so around that time when Nikki was like, "Yo, snap," like Cher, snap out of it,
Yeah.
So Nikki helped me snap out of it, and since then, like I've been on my Roddy Piper because a friend of mine told me like when you start ranting, you kind of remind me of Roddy Piper, and I was like, really? And somebody filmed me, and I was like, I kind of do. I was like, well, Roddy was one of my favorites too, so him, Savage, I got to meet both of them too. I got Flair. I
Oh, that's
only met Hogan's ex-wife. I didn't get to meet Hogan, but everybody's mad at him right now. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah. It's funny, man. I actually met Ric Flair when I was in high school, but it
mhm.
was completely as a fan. Like it wasn't I was at a NWA show at the Syracuse War Memorial and
Mhm.
or no, it was actually at the fairgrounds. NWA wasn't big enough in New York to be doing the War Memorial. But yes, it was at the Syracuse fairgrounds. And I went up to him. Sting was wrestling Muda and Ric Flair was out there watching it. And I went up to him and I was like, you're Ric Flair. And he said, can you get out of my way? I'm trying to watch Sting wrestle. And I said, oh, okay. I was like, thanks. Yeah, so that was fun.
You know what it is. Sometimes I just met Tommy Wildfire Rich. He was real cool.
Yeah.
Nunzio was there too, and he was busy trying to sell merchandise. I wanted to take a picture with him, and he was running around. I was just like, sometimes I don't know. Bernie Mac always said that he would take time out to talk to a fan, take a picture, or sign an autograph because if it wasn't for them, he wouldn't be who he is.
Yeah.
Some people don't think like that, and then sometimes
Right.
like people are like, listen, I'm not in the mood. I just want to enjoy the show. Can you just
Yeah.
but I think it doesn't hurt, man. But it's like I figure that like if he does it, then I'm gonna have a for other people. I'm not gonna be able to enjoy myself. If that's the
Yeah.
case, then stay in a hotel, man. But when I
Yeah.
met Blair, I was kind of I was looking forward to seeing the woo guy, and he was just like "Hey, what's your name? Okay, thank you. Next." I was like, "Oh God, okay." I was just like, "This ain't the Flair that I see on TV." I was like, "Okay." Like
Yeah.
whatever. Sometimes you just gotta. It depends. If he was nasty with it, then that's not cool. But sometimes they just get somebody. Sometimes before you, somebody just annoyed the hell out of them, and they just like whoever's next gets the wrath. Sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the thing is, too, like, so at the Syracuse fairgrounds, there was an entrance way to
Mm.
come up into the bleachers.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, all the wrestlers decided that that was where they were going to watch the show. So people kept popping up in that entranceway and watching the show, but it was right in the middle of the bleachers. So every time someone did it, it was like, oh, there's a wrestler down there now. Animal came down, Terry Funk came down. It was so funny because Terry Funk put a towel on his head and was watching the matches and like was all crunched down. And anytime somebody came up to try to talk to him, he would just dead eye them. And because this was back, kayfabe days, man, he would just dead eye them and they'd just walk off. And he wouldn't talk to anybody because he was supposed to be crazy, and he's just sitting there with a towel on his head, just watching the matches. But at the time, Ric Flair was a babyface, so people saw him and they were all coming down trying to, I just don't think, I think he really legitimately wanted to watch Sting and Muta have a match, and he just did. And I guess for whatever reason, they didn't have monitors in the back. I don't know what it was, but yeah, he just didn't want anybody bothering him. So
in terms of words, is like that's why they're supposed to have a certain area where, hey, have the VIP area there, have the TV there, so they won't be bothered. If that's the case, if they're going to be in a bar and they know they're going to be, come on, man, you're going to be somebody's going to come up to you because people freaking either love you as a wrestler or would love to meet you in person. Because like for me, meeting Piper and
yeah,
Piper and Dusty Rose. I met Dusty Rose at Sirius XM Radio. I was like, hey Dusty. He's like, hey baby, how you doing? And I was like, oh man. I was like, it's Dusty. I was like, it's Dusty. So I was just like, it's the coming man. It's all
yeah,
it was.
window.
And then meeting Piper because I think they had a DVD that came out. So I met Piper and Flair at the same time, and then I got to meet Crush.
Okay.
And I got to meet Randy Savage, who I do his voice to a T. So it's like, and this kid was in front of me, and he's doing Randy's voice, going, "Oh yeah," or whatever. And then Randy's like, "Next." I walk up. I said, "That kid did your voice pretty good, but I do it a whole lot better, yeah." And he looked at me. He looked at Crush standing there like laughing and stuff. And then he looks back at me. He goes, "It's like, I've heard a lot of people do my voice, but you got it. Damn, man, you got it. What's your name, man?" And he's like, I told him my name. And because of Evan too, and I went on another show called Under the Mat Radio, and they had Lanny on the show. And they called me from New York because they do it in Baltimore. They called me because they said they wanted me to surprise Lanny because he had just inducted Randy into the Hall of Fame. This is before, rest in peace, before Lanny passed away. So and I'm winding up doing Lanny's voice. I never did Lanny's voice before until now, like from like a little while ago. But Lanny's on the phone and I start doing Randy's voice. He starts doing Randy's voice too. So we're going back and forth on the phone. And the guys are like laughing they're laughing their asses off. And then Lanny goes, he's like, "May I say something?" And they're like, "Sure, Lanny, go ahead." He's like, and he said to me, he goes, "Well, that's one hell of an impersonation that you did of my brother. Thank you." And I'm like, "You're welcome, Lanny." I said, "Man, I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing you next and into the Hall of Fame." He's like I said, I don't know if my little brother's up to snuff, but we'll see. And I'm like, okay, Lanny, you got it. So
Yeah.
it was fun. It's something that I thank once again, like being here on your show. I have to say thank you, Evan, because that's a moment in my life that I'm never going to forget, and it's out there on YouTube and it's out there on the World Wide Web, and it's something fun for me, man, because I got to meet Randy Boy. The reason why I met him was because of his hip hop album, which his best song. For those wrestling fans that are out there, if you have not listened to Randy Savage's "Be a Man" CD, best song. I know his favorite song was "The Perfect Friend," which he did the picture for Mr. Perfect. But my favorite song of all time on his album, "Be a Man," is "Remember Me." So if you guys ever want to listen to a really good something from Randy Savage on his album, "Remember Me" is the best cut for me. And I know he did a music video like "Be a Man, Hogan," to mess around with Hogan. But my favorite song is "Remember Me." He's like,
Nice.
track is really good. He's like, because I was telling somebody, I was like, Randy, because of his voice, because of his chisel voice and grizzle voice, he's kind of like DMX meets Nine. I don't know if you've ever heard that song. Like, what you want, Nine? It's like, and your knees. Like, so it's like he had like a nice little grizzled thing. Like he's like you. If you emerge Nine and DMX a little bit, you can flow into the song. Remember Me. It's a really good song. I listen to it here and there. It's a good song.
Yeah, when that album came out, like around 2003 ish, I think it was.
Yeah.
Downloads, that was when people were starting to really use LimeWire, and I actually downloaded it on LimeWire and listened to it all the time. Um, but yeah, man, you ever heard of Mega Ran?
Mega Rand.
Yeah.
They're like a little bit of rock and hip hop, right? Something like that.
Well, no, I mean, he's basically Mega Ran is basically a hip hop guy, but he writes a lot of raps about wrestlers. Like he's got an album called Matt Mania, and
Well, send me your stuff, man. I'd check it out because the name sounds familiar, but I'm not
I
hardcore.
actually, Pro Wrestling Crate.
I heard of it, but I
Okay,
haven't been on it. Yeah.
so the guys who do Pro Wrestling Tees, which is
Mhm.
a big company out of Chicago, Colt Cabana has something to do with it. I'm not 100% sure, but they
Okay.
they put out a monthly subscription box, and I got a Mega Ran CD in it back when I used to subscribe to it, and I was like, what is this? Some guy rapping about wrestling. It's called Matt Mania. I put it in, and it's basically like he has a song about Randy Savage, so that's what made me think about it. Like, uh,
Oh, really? I would
yeah,
love to hear it.
yeah, he's got a song about Randy Savage. There's a guy named Doug Fuddy who raps with him, who's pretty good. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, it's kind of throwback '80s stuff. Like he's got the electro stuff happening, so it's pretty cool, man. But
Oh, okay.
but yeah, there's not.
So if you have the song, just text it to me. Text
Yeah,
it
for
to me
sure.
and I would definitely love to hear it because like Randy, I love Randy, man.
Yeah,
Because like
definitely.
as a matter of fact, when I was a daycare teacher, when I was still working as a daycare teacher, that's something that I used. I would tell the kids when you use your minds, what do you have, kids? They like you got the mega yeah, the mega yeah, the mega what? And the kids would scream power. I was like, that's right, power. Use your minds.
That's
It's so
awesome.
you
Yeah,
know, it was so fun, man.
yeah. When I was working at Shell, I don't know if you remember this. A few years back, Shell gas stations did a promotion with Slim Jim where they
Mm.
got these little Randy Savage things to hold the Slim Jims in, and
Oh shit.
it was so nice, man. And when it came in, everybody was arguing over who was going to get it. And like maybe we should do like a what you call it, like a drawing, you know what I'm saying? And then the manager came in and was like, I don't know what everybody is talking about. I'm taking that home. And I was like, well, that's the end of
Oh
that.
well. You see that moment right there. That's when you needed to let those young ladies see who said you were boring. Like, oh, there's a little fire in you, honey.
That's pretty funny.
Oh, so he's like, oh, you have some fire in you after all. Okay.
But yeah, those
Oh,
things were cool. I think they're like, you can buy them now for like $30 on eBay or something like that. So, but
yeah, that's cool. All right, so bring me some more questions. What's up, buddy? What's
yeah,
next?
man. Well, I mean, I feel like we've been doing this for about an hour. And
Oh, really?
yeah,
Damn.
man, we
Just
spent
went by.
a lot of time talking about relationships, man. Um,
Okay, let's talk about business. Let's talk about business stuff.
yeah, it's crazy, man. I was like, wow, it's been like 40 minutes, and I don't think we've. That's when I went into the Apollo question. I was like, let's try to talk about what this guy's done a little bit. Um,
Yeah, but I segued because
yeah, worked it
oh
out.
yeah, so
Yeah,
let me tell you with Harris Hayth,
yeah,
when I linked with him,
yeah.
I mentioned we started working, and we did a comedy web series that won an award at the Hamptons Black International Film Festival, and
Right.
it went yeah, and it was the Starks Coalition, which won is a multi-award winning film at the Atlantic City Cinefest Film Festival. And actually, the web series was called Pop Pop Dirty Foots, which he said his character was Richard Pryor's character, Mudbone's little brother, and he got permission from Pryor's estates to say that. So he utilized that character, won an award for that, and then we did a movie called The Stars Collision, which was a full feature film, and it is actually it made history because it was the first film to sweep in all categories. Best actor, he won Best Actor. Eve Laura, who played his wife in the film, She won Best Actress, and he won Best Film, Best Director. So we swept, and it was wonderful. Then the last thing we did was out here in Roosevelt, where I now reside. We did a documentary about Roosevelt and the spots around it, and that won an award as well. So working with him was so awesome. And then, like I said, that movie that we did, the Stars Coalition, I got, we're all in it together. Bill, myself, and him, and a couple of, and my friend. I have a friend named OG Mac, aka George McLean, who, if anybody has seen Coming to America Part Two, he's the guy putting the robe, the king's robe on Eddie Murphy after he gets beat up by his daughters. So, and he's also in the film playing pockets. So, yeah. So it was nice. It was nice to have a culmination of people that I've worked with in the past, and somebody that I met in the present time to say, hey, guy, come over here. Or, hey, young lady, come over here. And we got together. We did a great job, and I'm happy that we did get to work with each other on that film. And then most recently, I did a film called The Last B-Boy with a gentleman who was affiliated with Public Enemy, and
Oh, cool.
his name is Andreas 13, and aka Andre Guilty. And I was this is the part where area where I was doing casting. I'm an independent casting director, and I got some people casted, and he was happy with that, and he said one day he was looking for what's the name? One day he was doing a scene. He's like, you know what, this would be cool if I could get like a Soul Train type thing, but he couldn't get the okay from the estate. So if you do a parody, you can do a parody. So he was like, the first time I saw him when I brought my friend. I have a friend who's a celebrity makeup artist and an actress. Her name's Robin Lynn, aka Robin Parrish. She I brought her in, and when I brought her in, I was dressed in a trench, and he's like, "Hey, Don Cornelius." I was like, "Love, peace, and soul, brother." so, so while he remembered that moment, and he's like, "Maybe if he's like, can I?" He's like, "I'll ask Sherwin if you want to play Don Cornelius." So he made up a character named Don Orpheus
Okay.
instead of Don Cornelius. Instead of Soul Train, he made the show called Soul Power, and then when I did that, I got the afro, did it, and instead of saying love, peace, and soul, I made up a part. I say I want you, because he gave me this thing where he wanted me to say, like, when he gave it to me, I say, oh, you want me to say it like how, like a combination of Ric Flair meets Macho Man, and he's like, how did you know? I was like, I'm a wrestling fan, dude. Please. So, so he wanted me to say, "Oh yeah, baby, soul power." All right. So when I was doing the commercial, I had sent him something, and which he used in the movie actually. I said, "I want you to hold on to hope, hold on to love, and especially," and then I go in, I want you to hold on to your soul power.
Yeah.
So because I studied Don Cornelius. I studied, and of course, I work with Bill McCrary, because Bill McCrary has had this. Bill McCrary was a great reporter and an anchorman, but he had this air of Billy D. Williams, and because he was just like, he had that smooth tones on. And I was like, okay. So I was watching Bill when he was doing reports. So what I wanted to do was I watched him, and I was like, okay. So I watched Don Cornelius, so I got the original. Then I watched it, and I actually met Billy D. Williams at a sci-fi event,
Nice.
and my mother was always like, "Oh, he's so smooth, he's so cool breeze." I was like, "Yeah, big deal, mom." But when I did meet him, I
Man.
swear, up and down, man. If you talk to him long enough, he says, "Give me your wallet." He could be a Jedi himself. Like, give me your wallet. Okay, Bill, here's my wallet. Because he has this real. It's like he brings you into this atmosphere without weed.
Yeah.
Because when I went, because I met him, Lou Ferrigno, Dirk Benedict,
Oh no.
uh, Yvonne Craig, Frank Gorshin, and
Nice.
what's that guy's name? Warwick Davis, who played Willow, and then
Right.
of course the person I went there for was Adam West. But see, the rest of them was, it was because I'm like a little. I'm not gonna lie. I lost it. When I met Adam West, because as a little kid I grew up watching the reruns of Batman. I was just like, Man, I felt like I can't even talk about it now because I was just like seeing TV people on TV that you've seen before, but like as a little kid, this was the person. Him and Lou Ferrigno were like, the two guys I'm looking at. Like, because as a kid, I loved the Hulk and I loved Batman as a kid. So when I got to see these guys that were actually these characters that played them on TV, I was just like, I was like, it's like next to Toys R Us, this is the best thing ever. So
Yeah, I I
it was
met
so
George
cool.
Perez. Uh,
Um,
I met George Perez, who
mm,
is one of the greatest comic book illustrators, in my opinion, the greatest comic book illustrator of all time. And
I don't think anybody's gonna argue with you on that unless they're jealous.
George was man. So I met him. I don't generally do meet and greets. I kind of meet people organically, or I don't meet them. But it was George Perez. So I was like, man, I'm going to the Indiana Comic Con. I'm going to stand in this line, and I'm going to tell George Perez, I'm going to thank him for creating my childhood. You know. So I go up
Mm,
to him, and I couldn't get anything out, man. I was just like, thank you so much, and just left. Uh, and it wasn't anything to do with him. He was a great guy. He was nice to everybody. He took time with everybody. Um, but yeah, I was so like awestruck, and that doesn't really happen to me that often. But such a talented guy, and sometimes you meet people, and it's just like, man, you just get enamored, and it's just like,
yeah.
yeah,
But
like I could,
I think one of the most wonderful things is sometimes because I know sometimes I heard Cardi B say when you meet your idols, they become your rivals and stuff. But sometimes when you meet a person and they're really genuinely cool, it's
yeah,
it's like it's like one of the most nicest things that can happen to you. But sometimes it's like because I hate seeing. I, I wouldn't like to be disappointed from somebody like I love this person because I watched this and it's like it's almost like all your happiness freaking dematerializes because this person's being a jerk. And I'm like, oh come on, man. It's like I know on can't you act for me? Act like you're nice. Act
yeah,
like you're man. You know, because it's like it's like really heart wrenching. Like you're like, okay, you get to see somebody that you loved on TV or you love in the music scene, and then they're just like some big, you know, like crumpy
yeah,
toad on a freaking radio watch with me. It's like, hello. I love your work. I love your character. It's like you have something inside of you that's lovable, and I'm just like I'm saying, hey, I appreciate your work. What the hell, So
yeah.
that's why like I said, I really 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 like what Bernie Mac said about the whole thing about always stopping to, say hello and say thank you and enjoy the thank yous that you're getting. And then back to the relationship thing, something that I learned from Bernie Mac and his wife, Bernie had said in his book, because I read his book. I'm going to give you two things real quick. One is going to be one is going to be from Bernie Mac's book about relationships, and the other one is going to be something that Ron Jeremy and uh, Rodney Dangerfield wrote about
Yeah.
him. So
Yeah, both
Bernie,
times.
Bernie wife had said that he wasn't really he wasn't really her type, but she gave him a shot, and they fell in love, and they had their one child, and they never, didn't cheat on each other, whatever. Then they were good together, and then Bernie, he said one day, I think he was doing one of his odd jobs. He was doing the well, I think he was in a Wonder Bread truck. So he said he's driving one day. He has on the Wonder Bread, the hat, suit, whatever. And he hits the brakes and goes, I can't do this no more. So so he parks the Wonder Bread truck somewhere, and then he puts it down. He takes the keys, he takes the stuff, and he puts the key under the mat. He locks the door, and back then he goes on the payphone because it was way back when. So he calls up the office and hey Johnny, listen, it's Bernie, man. Listen, the truck's on 42nd and Madison. Have somebody come pick it up, man. I'm sorry, I can't do this no more. I got to follow my dreams, man. And last favor, just mail me my check, man. I'm sorry, I can't do this no more. I gotta go for my dreams, man. I gotta go for my dreams. So, and as he said that in the book, he says, this is where I was like, wow, this is the type of person that anybody that's in this industry needs to be with, and vice versa. That he said that He believed in himself, right? His wife was holding down 2 and 3 jobs, but she said I wasn't going to do it forever because she said she wanted him to go for it because she said I didn't want him to feel like, oh, because of her I can't, live my dream or whatever. And she said she was holding down to 3 jobs as long as she could. She's like, go ahead and do it, but I'm not going to be doing this forever, honey. So what Bernie said was this. He said, I believed in myself, but my wife believed in me more than I believed in myself.
Yeah.
And as artists, that's the type of person we need to be with and do the same for them.
Yeah.
So, and then before I get to Rodney,
Yeah.
I'm laughing so much because I dropped the book when I read what Rodney said about Ron Jeremy. But I have to give one thing to comics from George Carlin and Jerry Lewis, and that is Jerry Lewis said that anytime you feel you're listening to negative critiques. Me, I like positive critiques. Don't talk to me nastily and tell me, oh, da, da, da. I don't. I just go on deaf ears when you start doing that to me. But Jerry Lewis said, upon your perimeter, around your perimeter in your life and in your entertainment, whatever you're doing, he said, don't listen to the naysayers and people who think you're nothing, because you're going to be exactly what they think of you. But it's which is what they are. They're the nothing. But don't listen to none of that. And then George Carlin said that when it comes down to other artists or anybody who does what you do, he said you have to look at them only in 2 ways: either no threat, or if they're that good, you have to up your game. Because, like he said, when he saw Kinnison, he raised his voice a little. He said he didn't start yelling like Kinnison, but he said he raised his voice a little. So for a hardcore veteran to say that, that tells you he got inspired by Sam a little bit
Right.
and
Sure.
raised his voice. So that's how you're supposed to do it. Now, here's the funny stuff from Rodney. Every time I see Rodney, or if I hear anybody say anything about Ron Jeremy, I start cracking up because Rodney said in his book, he said him and Ron Jeremy are walking down Hollywood and Vine, and he's like, and he said he's like, all of a sudden he's like, they're walking around, and Ron's looking around in disgust, and he's like, and Rodney's like, hey, what's wrong with you? He's like, he's like, Rodney, these people out here in California, they're a bunch of weirdos. And then Rodney said to himself, and he writes in the book, he said, if a guy who sucked himself off in a film and says people are weird, it makes you think. It makes you think. Like, if he says they're weirdos, something's wrong.
That's hilarious.
I dropped the book. I had to find myself back in.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Oh God, it was too funny, man.
Good stuff, man. Yeah.
It's like there's so much, like, and then growing up too, seeing Red Foxes. When I was a little kid, I impersonated Red Fox as a kid. Saying you big dummy, and of
I still
course you still say that.
yeah,
But let me ask, who my two favorite big guys. I love Laurel and Hardy because especially when they had to march on the wooden soldiers every Thanksgiving. But my two favorite fat guys in comedy from yesteryear, always Mr. Oh, wise guy, signaling. Curly.
Stooges,
Always
man.
love Curly. Always love Curly, and then always love this guy right here. You know, boy, Costello, Lou Costello.
Yeah.
Love Costello, man.
Yeah.
Love those guys, man. It's like you don't get that funny stuff like that. It's very rare. It's very rare you get that funny stuff anymore. Because it's like I was telling. Oh, here's something for you. I don't know if anybody's ever told you this, but I was sitting down and trying to analyze Rodney Dangerfield, and I realized that the way he was writing, there's some other guy, I forgot his name, but he said he used to write for him, but the way he wrote was kind of poetic. And that's how he wound up doing his rapping Rodney thing, because he was like, stick and sex, my favorite pair. I have them both the same way, very rare. So it's rhythmatic and it's poetic. But the thing about it is, I realized what Rodney was doing. He took the two-man situation and made it one-dimensional.
Yeah.
Because I can give you an example of Abbott and Costello doing a joke, and then Rodney doing the joke by himself. You could be like, he's like, "Hey Lou, where you been?" And he's like, "This girl told me to come over because nobody was there." So, what'd you do? So what happened? Like, I went over and nobody was there. you know.
Right.
So
Yeah.
then Rodney, one dimensional, he's like,
Right.
I have no luck with women, but this one girl told me to come over to our house because nobody was there. I went over and nobody was there. So he
Right.
took that two-man shtick and made it
Yeah.
one-dimensional and
Yeah.
also poetic.
Yeah.
And
For sure.
it was really cool. Like seeing all those like I grew up watching like Charlie Chaplin and you
Yeah.
know, man, what's that song? Thanks for the memory, Bob Hope.
Oh,
So it's
sure.
like, seeing those guys, and I'm glad that there was a place out here in New York around 34th Street or Times. I forgot exactly where it was, but I used to go over there and buy old DVDs, like old comedy and stuff, like black comedy, white comedy. Because one thing that Al Grandpa Lewis told me to do, he said study. He said because
Yeah.
because he gave me something really good, and peace up to him because he said to me that when he was coming up, there was no internet, there was no big time TV that much. He said all we had was a newspaper, a radio, and our imagination. So I
Yeah.
stopped watching TV and I stayed off the internet for like about almost like maybe 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
I just stayed
Wow.
away from it. I just read the paper, listened to radio, listened to music because I wanted to be different. I wanted
Yeah.
to know what it was to be like a votive alien from way back when. So I did that, and you know, with that walk, I was like, okay, I wanted to be like, a little different and whatnot. Because like, especially with Rodney doing what he was doing, like, okay. And I think Rodney's father was in vaudeville too, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
I think he had mentioned that his father was in that. But like, and then like I was studying, I went all the way back to like Africa with the griots, and they would tell stories and tell funny stories about whatever. And then of course in the King's Night they had the court jesters and everything. So all that stuff, it's like there's so much stuff going in, like and then you see people with music like Jack Benny
Oh,
and
sure. Jack
like
Benny.
with his cheesy violin. And the
Yeah.
most wonderful thing was those people's
Roger.
personalities they put into cartoons.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you see like an actor like Peter Lorre on Bugs Bunny, or was it James Cagney,
Uh,
what's his
Bogart.
name, Humphrey Bogart and Edward G. Robinson, and of course they used Edward G. Robinson in Courageous Cat and Minute Mouse as the frog, like yeah, it's a frog, see, so it's like a person's personality put into a cartoon. People, you could stay at home and it'd be a family thing because even though the kids are watching this character, the mother and father, yeah, I remember that sounds just like Edward G. Norton there, or what's that other guy's name? Sidney Greenstreet, which
Oh,
they put him in what was that character? Bionic Six, the Bionic Six, Doctor Scarab. They used him for Doctor Scarab. Like Bionic Six, so it's like you have a lot of stuff in here and everything. It's just real. It's really fun to see what comedy and what comedy cartoons and music can merge with each other because it's like you see when I saw Sam Kinison doing Wild Thing and A Highway to Hell, and then what's so crazy is I didn't realize I saw Kinison way before he was doing stand up because there was a song called Under My Thumb that Bud
sure.
Bundy, the
Yep.
kid, I was like I never, but he was bald, and I was just like I didn't realize that was him. I didn't make the connection until later on, much later,
Yeah.
and
I remember. I remember
Under My
doing.
Thumb.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a great
So
song. Rolling
the music
Stones.
video.
What's that? Yeah. Yep. I remember it. Yeah.
Just saw
Yep.
the music video like maybe like a couple of years, like a little bit after he passed. I was like, oh my God, this is the same guy. And I
Yeah.
like the song. It was like so cool.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
all these guys are so dope, man. It's so much wonderful stuff that you can get out of this. Uncle Milty and people
mm,
like watching Adam West and seeing Adam West, and due to the fact that he would now that I look at some of the stuff and listen to some of the stuff, I was like, this stuff was some of it was so corny, but it was so funny. You know, listening to Frank Gorshin, say, he's like, riddle me this. He's like, what do you call a sleeping bull? Answer, a bulldozer. And then he started with that crazy laugh. So, it was, watching that stuff and then actually meeting the people that worked and did that. It's like, you know, you appreciate all the good stuff, man. Like I was saying, like Laurel and Hardy, like getting back to them, I was saying, knowing that Stan Laurel, he used to use the mustache and he gave it to Oliver Hardy to use it. And I was like, I didn't know things like that. And like to find out, like, Buster Keaton and all these other guys, like, what all that stunt choreography that he was doing, he could have gotten killed.
Man,
I was like, for the sake of a laugh, bro.
yeah,
Yo, I was like, for the sake of a laugh, he was like, okay. He was doing the mathematics. If he would have did something wrong somewhere at any time, he would have died.
yeah,
You know?
yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
like, yo, what's the other guy named Fatty Arbuckle and a couple other people. So it's like, seeing all the good stuff and being able to meet people. And then I didn't even get to see Frank. I got to see Frank Ocean. I actually I think I rented his stand up from a DVD company from before. I never got to see him do stand up, and I was like, oh wow, this guy was good. He was a really good impressionist.
Nice, nice.
Awesome.
Yeah. And just talking about some of the stuff that you hit on, like Sam Kinnison's influence, I think it's really underrated. Like, I don't think people realize, like, and this also hits on Jerry Lewis a little bit. Andrew Dice Clay was doing Jerry Lewis impressions. Until he saw Sam Kinison. Sam Kinison, actually, he was like, oh man, I got to step it up. I got to do something else if I want to make it.
Yeah, I got to see him. And then, of course, a lot of people were jumping on they were jumping on Bobcat Goldthwait that they were saying that he was a biter too, but he was funny too. Even if he wasn't, all that stuff that he was like, you know what I mean? But he was more like he had like a speech impediment more than yelling what Sam was doing. I still appreciated him anyway. I still appreciated him, and I got to see Andrew Dice Clay live. And actually, I have a friend by the name of Christy Miller who worked with him and also worked with Paul Mooney and stuff. And actually, Paul Mooney brought her here from California. Actually, I would probably, who knows, maybe I'll try to get some people to come up on your show, man. Definitely.
Yeah, Paul Mooney was genius, man. Like so smooth in his delivery, like man. But
the funny thing is, I had an experience with him at Caroline's on Broadway. I was sitting here near the end of the bar, and like there was one seat over. He was next to me, and it was a show that I was because I've always heard his name. Didn't know what he looked like, so I never knew that it was him next to me.
What?
So there was a bartender named Louis there. He was telling me that I should come check out the show. So Adele Givens, who's famous for saying, because she has really thick lips, he's like, me sucking your dick is like putting a tic tac into a whale's mouth. And then that, and she has a saying, I'm such a fucking lady. So she comes down, she's in this leopard print spandex type, just looking sexy, and she comes over to Paul, which at first I didn't know who he was. But all the time before she came down, he was eating and looking at the television, and it was off. But they had the little thing on, and so they had the sound off. So he's eating and he's looking up, he's reading. And he's reading what's on the screen, and he's laughing. Like, what the hell's wrong? At first, I was like, "What's wrong with this guy?" And so now I found out why he was laughing all the time. So Adele comes over to him and he turns around. She's like, hey, Paul. He turns around and he goes, Adele, as always, diva. And so she's like, thank you, Paul. He said, but let me ask you this question. He said, Michael Jackson, he could have had any, and I mean anyone, any woman on this planet to have his children. Look at this cow on the TV. Why? I feel like milking her through the TV tubes. And I was just like, yo.
Oh, man. Dude,
so they leave. And then everybody heard what he said. Everybody's cracking up. And then he leaves with her and they go backstage to get ready because it was just, she was hosting only. And then he went on. So Louis, who invited, I said, Louis, who is that guy? He's like, that's the headliner. That's Paul Mooney. He's like, you really have never seen him before? I was like, no, I've always heard his name. He was like, and then I was like, the funny thing was, I do remember now seeing him. It was some movie where it was some army movie. It was him, Pryor, and I think Billy D. Williams is in it. I'm not too sure,
Okay.
but it was some movie where they were playing army men, and that I did see him in that. And then another time I saw him uh briefly in when they were having, when they used to have those roasts. I saw him briefly, and I was like, okay, because you know what threw me off was he had the afro, but when I used to see him, he would have the
Yeah.
hat on, so I didn't
Yeah. Yeah.
really know who it was.
Yeah. I thought he wore that thing.
Yeah, so Louis tells me, well, go. He's like, you never seen him? I was like, no. He's like, go in there, you learn something. After I sat down and watched this guy,
Yeah.
uh, go front, and especially I watched him, especially with that whole um fiasco with the gentleman from Jerry Seinfeld show. He took the N word out of his set, and he
Right.
was just as funny, if not funnier, because it was clean to a
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's something I learned too. Is like, because I remember somebody telling me uh, one of the ways you could keep your material from somebody trying to steal your material is to make it really filthy, like how Buddy Hackett used to do, because that way nobody be able to touch your stuff, and because they can't take it to TV because TV wants clean stuff.
Right. Right.
But I realized, okay, well, that's kind of madness. It's like there's no way you could clean up something so dirty. Say, so I guess do a clean set and then you could dirty it up. That's like that's simple.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I remember Paul Mooney used to do this thing where they would sit around on a couch
Mm-hmm.
and talk about different aspects of comedy. It
Mm-hmm.
was a bunch of different comedians. I used to live with a buddy of mine, Apollo Star. He's a pro wrestler, actually, but he used to watch that thing and every night, and it was hilarious. Um, but one thing I did want to talk about with the older stuff, like Three Stooges and Abbott and Costello and Lowell and Hardy, what was up with the French Foreign Legion, man? They
I
couldn't just
don't know. I
everybody
think
tricking
they
people
were
into
always
joining.
making
Like,
fun of them. They was
yeah,
making fun of them. But I
yeah.
guess they wanted to make fun of the French, and that was the best way to do it.
Yeah. And I just think that's funny. Like I feel like every single older comedian has a movie where they get tricked into joining the French Foreign Legion. I'm just like, where's
You know
that?
what? I think it's probably because it was a thing, and
Yeah,
that's why maybe it was a thing. They're like,
yeah.
okay, I'm going on a trip. He's like, you're not part of the Foreign Legion. He's like, what?
It's so awesome. I just watched a movie not that long
Uh,
ago. I used to do a wrestling podcast, and we were talking about wrestling movies. And
yeah.
Abbott and Costello did a movie where they're wrestling promoters lose the no Abbott's
Is
Bud's
it
the
wrestling or boxing? 'Cause I remember him doing
wrestling.
boxing.
Yeah, they're wrestling promoters. It turns out that the wrestler is part of like this, like for lack of a better word, like a mob family
Okay.
uh, over in the desert somewhere.
Okay.
And Abbott and Costello, he like cuts out on him right before the big match because he doesn't want to lose.
Okay.
Because he's like, I don't, I fight for real. It's really funny because it's like back in the 30s or 40s and they're breaking kayfabe. But but so he doesn't want to put him over, so he leaves, and they follow him and accidentally join the French Foreign Legion while they're following him to try to get him to come back. So I just watched that not that long ago, so that was fresh. But then I was like, man, I feel like
Oh, it's actually called the Foreign Legion. I'm looking at it now.
yeah,
1950.
yeah,
Okay, I
Lowell
gotta
and
check
Hart,
this. I definitely gotta check this out when I get a chance.
yeah, it's pretty good, man. But
I
yeah,
love,
and
I love, I love. There's like I love Lou Costello, man. I used to
yeah,
when I was in school as a little kid. It was always Curly,
yep,
Costello, and Red Fox. I would always do those three guys. Like
Red
just always
Fox, Harlem Nights,
voices.
Harlem
Yeah.
Nights, yeah. So I did want to ask, and you may not have an answer for this, but you talked about warming up for comedians. Have you ever warmed up for musicians? And I have never understood that. Like comedians who warm up for musicians have to be taken like the hard.
I've hosted and warmed up for I've because I had a place called for 5 years. I was holding down a spot called Janelle's. First it was first Friday comedy series, and what I did was I had comedians and I also had poets. Variety. had variety of guys. 'Cause I was watching Robin Harris's what he used to do, and I was like, oh, okay, I want to do something like that, and where it has a little bit of acting. I even did like improv acting where I made my own plays. One was called Suspicious, and the other one was called From a Jerk to a Gentleman. And I had a fun time doing it. But when it comes down to the musicians, I think sometimes they just want people to laugh and get loose and be happy and free. And then, most of the time people are drinking. They want people to have a jovial time. Basically, that's why they have comedians open for them. And then sometimes the comedians they can sing as well, or they can rap or whatever. Like me, I'm more of a I've done poems. I have poems written. I can go ahead and freestyle sometimes, give me a beat or whatever. When I matter of fact, like when I did the movie for the last B Boy, I got so engulfed in learning about Don Cornelius and Soul Train that I actually went into a studio and did a song called Soul Power Back. So and it got really into it. But for all the artists, music, they like doing that where which like the Copacabana,
Yeah.
they like somebody who's lively to get the crowd going right before they go on. So most
Gotcha.
of the time they don't want somebody like, all right, folks, and this and like unless it's one of those straight comedians that everybody loves, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
like Stephen Wright. And if they like Stephen Wright and they're coming to see, Nirvana or something like that, but they want to see him there, they don't mind, which is a crazy mix, but
Yeah.
um which Mitch Hedberg and Nirvana would have been perfect because he's like, oh look, they're twins. You're like, so but yeah, they like to have that aspect of just dropping the walls and just, hey, sit back, laugh, because when people are happy, what is that? The dopamine chemical comes out and they're happier. So
Yeah.
and
Ready
like,
to go.
it's like they give them a little bit of dopamine, and then when the musicians come out, they're ready to go. Like, and look at what Sam Kinison did. He
Oh
was
yeah.
doing the
Yeah.
band for a little
Yeah.
bit, cover songs and everything. And then of course, Eddie Murphy has his Party All the Time and I Was a King songs. So it's like there's a lot of great things that a lot of comedians have done, whether they've crossed over, which you see a lot of actors or comedians in wrestling areas, in which I'm like, that's another reason why I'm like, when Evan told me about BCW, I was like okay, and I went, and I'm loving it, man. I'm loving
Yeah.
it. Like,
Yeah. That
hey,
was,
this may not be the WWE, but it is a WWE to me because I'm getting to meet wrestlers and even, you know, see them behind the scenes on a personal level, say hello to them, and even let them know I appreciate what you do. Because you can just be a fan from afar and they'll never know who you are. But to be in an area where I'm gonna, show love to the organization and this federation, and because I love each and every one of what you do, and some of the stuff that I've done. Like I've listen, I have a video game, what's it called again? It's I think it's 3D wrestling or something like that. I've even made like a character called Sergeant Solution, which I was like, okay, he's a little bit of Dusty Rhodes, he's a little bit of the Boss Man, a little bit of Hogan, and I was like, hey, if I ever had a character, I'd probably use that character, and I would say, I had a saying for him. He's like, my name is Sergeant Solution, and I'm here to do what I was born to do, and by golly gumbo, I'm gonna do it, you know. So because of wrestlers, there's certain things that I've, like that intro that I just did.
yeah.
That's from watching wrestlers, and I
Oh, for sure.
and I learned that because of Muhammad Ali when he was saying that he watched, what was it, Gorgeous George?
He
He was
said
watching him.
Freddie Blassie says it was him. So
Yeah,
yeah, Freddie Blassie was like, he's confused. It was me, but yeah, but yeah, Muhammad Ali said Gorgeous George.
like,
Yeah,
your pencil neck geek.
yeah. Freddie Blassie used to claim that he was actually talking about him, so that's kind of funny.
um,
But yeah,
and who else? and watching people like Captain Lou and then seeing the music with the rock and roll connection. Oh my gosh, I was in seventh heaven. But the thing, what's so crazy now? Yeah, there's more wrestling fans, but when it wasn't popular, it was really hard for guys like me. Like, you're a wrestling fan? That stuff
Yeah.
is stupid. What are you watching that for? Because I love it. Yeah, and I would do Randy. Oh, who's that? Like, that's Randy Savage. He's like, oh, I get you. Then after a while, they'll leave me alone because they're like, oh, you can do voices and shit. Like, okay. So, and then when you started seeing the getting popular, like Hogan does, not only Hogan, it's like you had Roddy Piper doing They Live, and then you have The Rock when he went on, what was this? I think Deep Space Nine or something like that was his first thing.
He was
Yeah.
like a
So,
click.
and then now it's like now they're like seeing, okay, oh, these guys, okay, the wrestlers, they're talented, they're okay, they're actors and they're stuntmen and they're almost like they're in-ring psychologists and they touch your heart and you like, you get involved and engulfed in this stuff. And I tell people, it's like, listen, there's stuntmen who sometimes who you can get hurt in the ring. This recently, we in BCW, we lost a wonderful wrestler by the name of Vince Steele, who, the Jurassic Juggernaut. He had a heart attack in the ring, and left three sons behind. So it's when people, that's why I know when I hear somebody say, now I totally get it even more. I was like, I'm ready to, like, excuse me. That's why I was like, you don't want to get a Steve Dr. Death smacking.
Right, right.
Like, is that fake? Is that fake, son? Is that fake?
Dr. D. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, it's
So,
just thinking about
oh no,
that
excuse me,
because
not Dr. D, not Dr. Death. That's David
yeah,
Schultz.
Dr. David Schultz. Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah,
got you. I knew the
yeah,
reference.
yeah. So, yeah. Now I got to get it right because if he ever sees me, like, so
Oh
you
yeah,
got it wrong, huh?
yeah. He
Because
got
you know
drugged out
what?
of the
I was
business.
looking, I was looking at David Schultz, and I was just like, he looked like he could be Stone Cold Steve Austin's father.
Oh sure. Oh
I was like looking at him. I was like, the attitude, the looking. I was like, yo, a little bit of Stone Cold, a little bit of I was like, wait a minute. I was like, this guy. I was like, they look like they're related. I was like, wondering, related because they look too much alike. And a little bit of Terry Funk. If you put Terry Funk in blonde hair, it
right.
kind of look like family in a way.
So I want to say something about David Schultz, but then also about people looking alike.
Mm.
So it's funny when David Schultz did the slap, and it got all that bad publicity. Vince McMahon was like, "Oh, we can't have this." Got him out, and Vern Gagne was like, "Oh, this is what we need," and brought him into the AWA because Vern Gagne was all about like making it seem as real as possible.
Right, yeah.
Like guys like Billy Robinson and people like that. But but yeah. Oh man. So you remember Billy Joe Travis
Billy,
from Memphis?
the name. Hold on, I gotta see your face. Hold on, hold on. Billy Joe Travis. Oh, okay. Oh, yes, he was Jeff Jarrett. Yes, okay, yes.
I saw he looked like Howie Mandel.
Oh, he does.
With blonde hair, but the curls and everything. He had like the same hair and everything. I thought he was just like growing up. I
Oh,
was like, Billy Joe
who Seth
Travis.
Rollins? Who Seth Rollins reminds me of?
Who's that?
What's that actor's name? Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I can see that.
I
And
was like, every time I see Seth, I just waiting for him to, like, hey, I'm really Matthew McConaughey, and
that's awesome.
it's just like,
Um, what
I am an innovator and a motivator, and I am the architect.
the
I'm here
architect?
to burn it down.
All right, all right, all right. Well, and my mom was convinced that Stevie Richards and Shawn Michaels were related when I was a kid. She was like, they have to be brothers, and I was like, Mom, they are not.
I can
Yep,
see that. I can
yep.
see that. That I can see.
Stan Lane, Steve Casey, and Lex Luger looked like the same person.
Hmm.
Like in the face. It's kind of weird, man. People, you find similarities, but yeah, my mom, she
Yeah,
would
but
get
back to the question.
stuff.
Back to the
She was
question, though. Yeah. So I think a lot of people, you know, I think they appreciate, and I think something that they've always done. I think the Copacabana was
yeah,
very famous for that, where they would have comedians open up for bands and singers and everything. I guess it's just say, what's that song? You've got personality. They want somebody that had personality, and has a big a great stage presence. Because like for instance, I just recently did this song called "Pick a Queen," which I'm featured. I only
Oh,
have a little bit of lyrics,
I
right?
watched that.
A little bit of lyrics, and freaking from out of nowhere, I told the guy to check it out, but I didn't know it was going to go that far. He leaves a message. He says, "Great job," and then my number is public because my mentor always told me be accessible because sometimes somebody may want to get in touch with you and they can't. So I did that. I always listen to him on that, and I get a video chat now. It's on April Fools now, and I just recently pranked a bunch of my homegirls. I'm like, you guys ain't catching me. I pranked the hell out of them.
Right.
So and I even made, you know what? When I get a chance, I'll send you the thing. I call it the April Fools massacre of 2025 because I caught all my like three of my like four or five of my homegirls. So what happened was, the song "I Like to Move It," right? That
Yeah,
song.
for
The
sure.
guy
Yeah.
who is the lead vocalist on that, he's the one that was calling me.
Wow.
And
Okay.
he told me he enjoyed the lyrics and enjoyed my energy
Sure.
on the song, and I was like, at first I was like, somebody's mad. I was like, oh wow, and it was really him. So I
Yeah.
was like, fools, jokes on me. It's not a joke. So I was
Yeah.
like, wow. And it's like to me, that's why I tell people that and I put that out there, and it's like, listen, that's why I say, hey, take a chance, because you never know what can happen, and something wonderful like that happened. And he said, hey, if he gave me his number and everything, he said, hey, call me if you ever want to talk, kid. And I guess sometimes I guess he saw a little bit of himself in me, where you know I threw out the lyrics lively and I was having fun, and
Yeah.
that's the person I am. I always like to dance, and made music, and I love music, and I'm a dancer, so you know it's like growing up watching you know people like the Bee Gees, the Jackson Five. How can you not like to freaking dance? You're crazy. Even if you can't dance, jig a little bit or snap your fingers, something. Have fun, because I grew up in an era where I saw greatness, man. I saw greatness, like, staying alive, listening to that. Who doesn't know? Yeah, And then of course, the Fugees went and remade it, and it's
Right.
because it's classic stuff. So it's like, man. And then of course, you know, you have individuals making mock songs like you had hardcore hip hop lyricists like Coogee Rap,
Yeah.
where Chris Rock did a movie called CB4, and um, Coogee Rap has a song called Talk Like Sex, and then Chris Rock takes the song and he calls it Sweat from My Balls. So,
I remember that. I remember that. Oh man. Well, and I mean,
oh my God. The thing about it is like, but the thing about it was just like, you listen to both of them, you listen to the music, and you appreciate it because it's one, lyrical skills, and then other, comical lyrical skills. And that's why I have this. Matter of fact, I haven't done this in a while, so I want to do it for you on your show. Uh, I do these lyrics where it's a little bit of you'll get some of the sayings and some of the voices that I'm about to do. And since you said I can curse a little, uh,
okay.
I'll, I'll I'll go off. I'll go off because usually I try to be clean, but I'm like,
Yeah.
today's one of those days. I'm just like, I don't care. It's out the window.
All
so
right.
um, so this is like, I do a little bit of, I mentioned a couple of comedians either by saying or by name, and
Okay.
here it is. It goes That's right. That's right. We bad. So don't think, just laugh while you're learning from the dark disciple of the beast of burden. That's unlike Sam Kinison. I'm just kidding, son. I'm sick of the Bill Hicks from doing these skits. Every set, every mic check is not easy being me because I gets no respect. Oh, because you think I'm crazy. But you don't understand, little test tube, baby. I'm going to be rich, chicken. There's no doubt. Step my way, you get knocked the fuck out. But that's only if your soul's too crummy. You big dummy. That's it.
That was awesome, man. Nice. Or start with Eddie Murphy and end with Red Fox.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Right on. Well, man, we had a very cool conversation, man. We talked a lot about personal stuff. We hit on some business stuff here and there. Um, I hope we talked enough about the business side of things, man. I want to make sure that people know what you've got going on.
Okay, well, you
Before,
know what? Let me
yeah,
do this. What I could probably do is tell you what I got coming up, and then we could
yeah,
just get that out of the way.
let's hop out of here, man. Let people know
Oh
what you
yeah,
got. Yeah,
yeah. I'm right now. I got signed on with the hip hop group, the Lost Boys. They have a film series that they're working on, and basically it's about DJ Spig and Supreme and a couple of their guys. They actually robbed the bank, and it's in between like the hip hop rise and this situation that happened, and there, I'm in it. I'm playing a barber named Black in it, and also I got my comedic brother, Cool Bubba Ice, in on it, and a couple other comedians by the name of Starlight, and some other folks that I have a friend named Desiree who goes by Desire in the film as well, and
okay.
it's real cool. So I got Fresh Faces. The Fresh Faces show for Comedy in Harlem, which is coming up May Saturday, May 3rd. Doors open at 4, show times at 5, and you're gonna see Sherwin XL and some of my buddies in the comedy area: Kim Fowler, Christy Miller, Mo Black, Dread Archie Jr., and Testimony. And gonna have a good time out there. And then coming up soon, also, this is when is this? Is May. Yeah, we're going to have the Soundwalk NYC Culture Fest that's coming up, which is Saturday, May 24th from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. I'm the co-host. And if you come on my site, Sherwin XL, and that's S as in Sam, HERWIN XL, you'll see the flyers and everything's there. And last but not least, uh, three things to knock out. I have a speaking engagement at Komodo Rooftop at 216 Duffield Street on the 24th floor in Brooklyn, New York. I'm going to be, talking about the industry. And just recently, I found out that I'm receiving a Excellence in Entertainment award, and another young lady by the name of Miss Sanchez has just put me for. I'm getting an award from the UN, a lady that's affiliated with the United Nations. So that's happening, and I'm astounded. Like I said, man, I'm like, really, this stuff happens to people,
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's why I call myself the ordinary extraordinary, ordinary guy who's been blessed to do some extraordinary things, and meeting extraordinary people like yourself, man. So Keith, thank you for having me on your show, man. I really appreciate it. You and Evan, things like this, when we work like this, and I meet wonderful people like you, you're introducing me to your audience, and I appreciate it, brother.
absolutely, man. Um, BCW, do they do weekly shows, monthly shows? Where do you know what their
Yeah,
schedule is?
monthly shows, and we're about to have. Let me see, get the date here. I want to give the wrong date. I'm about to have. Was it 17th? Yes, we're going to have the 17th of May. We're going to be having a Queen of the North pay-per-view ring girl and music artist search, and all ethnicities and all music genres are welcome to register and audition. And what we're offering is, once you're chosen, it's $10 registration possibly, and then once you're chosen, whether you're an in-ring pay-per-view girl, or you're going to be an artist, whether you're solo, duo, trio, quartet, whatever, you will be responsible for selling tickets, and you will get 50% of the ticket split on the sales and everything. So that's not a
Awesome.
bad deal,
Yes.
and and the tickets don't go for it's not like it's not too crazy, it's 30, 25, and 20. So if you do that, if you get picked, you get 15 of that, or 12.50 of that, or 10 of that, depending upon how many you sell, you know
Nice. So, man, yeah, bet on yourself. You know what I mean?
so that's
Um,
what's going on, and I'm waiting to knock that get that other song out, and that's about it, man. Waiting for this. Oh yes, and I'm the casting director for a film entitled "In the Beginning" by Dr. Tawana Calpurnia, who's affiliated with the S1Ws from Public Enemy, and just happy to be working with a lot of great people around me. Like Andreas 13 and and Lost Boys, and it's just happy with what I'm doing and meeting great. Like once again, like I said, meeting great people. Like you're not. It's not like you're like right outside, like hey neighbor, but I
Yeah, man.
I appreciate you, Keith. Thank you so much, man.
But I'm down here in Indiana, so. Um, but yeah, so this has been awesome. I told you that I wasn't going to keep you for 2 hours, and it looks like I just about did. So, but we had a
Hey,
lot to
listen,
talk about,
you
man.
know why? Because
Yeah,
we had a great time,
yeah,
and if anybody ever wants, listen. Look, if you guys like, I really meant it. What I meant when I said before. If you want a comedy troupe to come out there, let me know. I have a we just
yeah.
a buddy of mine just created a new company called Yonder We Go LLC, and that's with my buddy Jay Bond and Testimony. And if you find a place out there that would like to sell tickets, you could also see us online, and I'll grab up some comedians. We'll come out there, show everybody a good time, and maybe even put on a concert because I have music under my belt,
Right.
so never know.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, dude. We'll definitely talk about it, especially with summer coming up.
Yeah,
We check it out
yeah,
and
let
see
me
what we.
know, man.
Yeah, for sure. So, next week coming up, we've got Jonesy. He's going to be our last comedian that we're going to have on because the week after that, we're having Ronnie Barnett from the Muffs, bass player for the Muffs, coming on. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Muffs are, to me, the Muffs were legends, man. Like, it's going to be real cool talking to him. But yeah, I want to thank Sherwin XL once again.
You make me feel. I feel special now. Really, really. I mean, extra special now.
Oh, brother, I've had a lot of really cool people on here. Honestly, it's cool. Yeah, it's been a good time. For those of you who don't know who Jonesy is, uh, that guy has a podcast that's listened to 2 million people weekly. So the fact that he's taking his time out from not just doing stand up,
That's
but
love. That's
the
love.
privacy stuff, yeah,
Yeah.
taking his time
Oh,
out to come here.
yeah. Oh, I'd be amiss if I didn't do this. But once again, shout out to Evan Ginsberg for the connection. And
Yep.
anybody that wants to work with me, just give me a call, 347-792-9475. And you can find me on Instagram and also on LinkedIn. Um, I'm there, Sherwin XL. You need a host, you need a master of ceremonies. Let's go. Let's have a good time. And
Heck yeah, bro.
I have music artists too, so hey, whatever you want to do, let me know. We'll build and get it together.
Yeah, yeah. We touched a little bit on everything, but like I said, we spent 40 minutes talking about women. So that was, but hey,
Listen,
you know,
if you go online and you type in "Dear Queens and Kings" and Sherwin XL, I have
there you go.
something on there that I did for my daughter. So check it out when you get a chance, bro. And
Yeah,
hey, women make the world go round, right?
yeah,
Hey,
100%,
we need them.
100%.
We need them. Love them.
The point of this podcast is to have good conversations, man, with interesting people. So I think we did that today.
And this is the most excellent entertainment show that I've been on, and I love it. Thank you, brother.
Appreciate you, brother. So before we get out of here, I want to thank Evan Ginsberg, even though Sherwin's already thanked him multiple times because he's the guy who hooked us up. I want to thank my producer, Tyler Martin. If we did any stopping, stuttering, missteps, Tyler will clean it up. Music on just look good. Man, yeah, I just always like to give Tyler a little credit before we get out of here. Most of the time, you can just chuck it up there and put some music.
So
Yeah.
so I got to do this for you,
Okay.
because it was something that I always wanted to do when I was a little kid, and I wound up doing it. It's like, so one time, Tyler, I'm doing it like the Wolfman Jack, baby. So I want to tell you and everybody here on the most excellent entertainment show that we love you, Tyler. Thank you for everything you do, baby. Oh, I had to do that for you, bro.
I appreciate you. Tyler Martin, MB Studios, is the MVP of this thing, man. I don't know anything except sitting here and talking. I can't do any of this. So appreciate it. Sherwin, thank you again. I want to thank the audience. We keep growing every week, man. We had over 5,000 views this month on YouTube. I can't believe it. 5,000 minutes. I'm sorry, 5,000 minutes, but that's still insane. Yeah, people took 5,000 minutes out of their day to sit down and listen to most excellent.
They're becoming a monster.
We keep growing. So I want to thank everybody. I want to thank Sherwin XL again. Thank you to my audience. Thank you to everyone out there. And I'm Keith. Hopefully you know that if you're tuning in. And we'll be back next week with more Most Excellent Entertainment.